Hey, what's up? Big Jason. So, this is my last call for you to get Scott's Hottest Sales Letters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, including the control that Gary Halbert had Scott do when Gary's client insisted that Gary write the sales letter. So, and what's crazy is that the control Scott was going to beat was written by Gary. But Gary was so confident in Scott's ability, and not just his ability to write a control that could beat Gary himself, but also write like Gary, so his client wouldn't know the difference. And his client didn't. Okay? And not only that, I'm going to include all the research. So you're going to get Gary's original control, which is amazing. It just had been going to the same list for over 7 years and mailed over 100 million times. It's still amazing personal, conversational fascinations, interesting facts presented in a entertaining way. It's amazing. And then when you see Scott's, who approached it in a totally different way, totally different lead and approach, it's going to blow you away. Okay. And not only that, I'm going to include the ad breakdowns by David Garfinkel. David Garfinkel broke down another control that Scott wrote that did millions of dollars. And I'm going to include the ad breakdown by Craig Clemens. He actually broke down Scott's ad that beat Gary. And which is interesting is that Craig writes in the same niche. He's had his own product. That's the same product that Scott wrote about. So it was an amazing breakdown. Craig gives some amazing insights on why it worked, why this new approach, made things kill it like before. So let me go through the sales letter, and I'm going to give you a little interview. There's Gary Halbert saying, if my life depended on writing a great sales letter, I would have Scott Mongo Haines write it. After me, the greatest copywriter you ever meet is Scott Mongo Haines. Scott was one of the 3 people that Gary trusted for advice on copy. Okay? Let me make sure you can see everything in there. And I'm also going to give you an ad breakdown by another smash hit that's still running today by Jim Curley. Jim Curley took over at OHP for John Carlton. He was personally trained by Carlton, and he's written over 200 controls, and he writes in the same niche as this smash hit by Scott. You're going to get that sales letter and the breakdown from Jim Curley. And what's insane about the research you're going to get with Scott's control in the health niche is you're going to see his list of information and his list of his preliminary list of benefits and interesting facts. And then you're going to be able to see the actual letter, and it's going to blow your mind how he took all these facts, these initial benefits and bullets, and then put it on the page to beat Gary's control. Again, guys, you get $594 off volume 1, 2, and 3 of Scott's Hottest Sales Letters, the most profitable sales letters he ever wrote. 4+ of these letters are still running and making their product owners money today. Okay? So the sale ends tonight. Rather than $891 total, it's only $297. So I'm going to run down the list of all the letters you're going to get. Just look at this. A lot of these letters are, even Gary's sons, Bon and Kevin, had no idea Scott wrote them because he wrote so much like Gary. Gary's sons didn't even know that Scott had written several issues of the Gary Halbert letter. That's how good Scott was. So here's Volume 2. Mind-blowing. 3 controls still running today. 14-year software control still being used today. Can't be beat. Before Scott passed away, he had made over $6 million selling software. The client took it, barely changed anything, just formatted for online, and it's still crushing it today. $297 per month continuity. Want to know something interesting about this? I found that the client initially said he wanted $67 a month, and Scott said, no, it's going to do way better at $297, and it's still crushing today. The solar generator ad, that's the one that David Garfinkel breaks down, and I'm giving you that as a bonus. You're going to get his breakdown. He said it's one of the best sales letters he's ever read. Okay? And I'm going to give you the research on that as well. Like I said, just like the control that Scott wrote that beat Gary, the research that I'm going to give you that Scott used to write this home run sold millions of dollars worth of solar generators. And you're going to love the copy, especially if you write for survival, prepper, or you just trying to use current events that's going on today. It's going to blow your mind. Again, wrote a lot of stuff for Gary Halbert. Here's another 6-week E-Class control that sold for $2,855, millions of dollars in sales, still being used today. There's that colon cleanse control. He wrote for Matt Fury. John Angelacci has written for Agora, top copywriter. You're going to get the sales letter from Scott that John modeled for a 5-year control. John still studies Scott's sales letters today. And then we got volume 3. Again, guys, $594 discount ends tonight. Links in the description, shortcutswipes.com/hottestswipes. Another control, it's still running today. Really great newsjacking Obamacare a piece, both a space ad and an opt-in form. If you're a freelancer, I'm including a lot of stuff that Scott used for freelancing. You're going to get some swipes that a lot of people haven't seen that Scott wrote in the voice of Melanie Griffith. You may know her. A lot of stuff that Scott wrote for Joe Polish, AWAI. And I'm going to include some bonuses from Gary Halbert, some other letters that a lot of people haven't seen. So if you have any questions, post them below. Again, this offer is ending tonight. Let me go ahead and give you a quick interview from David Garfinkel, the world's greatest copywriting coach. It's only a couple minutes long, just to show you the power of the ad that you're going to get and the ad breakdown. All right, David. So here is a promotion that Scott did that, is from what I recall, I found in his notes, sold millions.
Well, that doesn't surprise me at all, Big Jason, because, let me step back, and then I want to address why it sold millions. And I'm sure it did. I'm absolutely sure it did. Usually, I critique about 8 or 10 letters a week. I do critiques for copywriters, individual copywriters. I do them for companies. I do a group critique with Agora Financial. I do one-on-one written critiques for GKIC. And usually, except with Agora, when we're looking at proven winners, usually when I do a critique, I can find a few things I could suggest to improve, make it stronger. Sometimes I suggest a lot. Sometimes I say, whoa, throw this up in the air and get your shotgun out and see if you can make it some skeet. Let's start over. I couldn't find one thing wrong with this, okay? And wow. Yeah, everyone thinks I'm a nice guy. I have a pretty sharp, critical mind when I'm looking at stuff, because that's how you make more money. So it doesn't surprise me that this thing made millions, and I'll get into why. The main thing I want to say at the top, and we'll get into the weeds because I'm going to get really detailed about some of this stuff. But the main thing to look for in this letter is, number one, the power of research. But number two, he presented the research in a really interesting way, in an unconventional way. He presented the research the way you would make an action adventure movie or a thriller movie. And I'm not kidding. And I'll show you what I mean. The other thing I want to say is I don't know if this is Scott's best letter because I haven't read all of them. But I would say this is one of the best sales letters I've ever seen, period. Wow. Anyway, yeah, I mean, and when I said before when we were talking, I said, craftsmanship, that he's a craftsman. There's so much craftsmanship, like a master carpenter or like a sculptor or like an architect, like an artist, but it's not artsy fartsy. I mean, this is the real deal. This is the real deal in terms of great craftsmanship, and something that is not like an academic example you'd show in a class. Although I think it's great that you're taking real stuff and teaching people with it, Jay. But I'm just saying this is the real deal. This is something that really worked in the real marketplace. So.
All right. So let me show you something that you're going to get. Bam. So you're going to get his client's initial draft, and which is awesome because you're going to see how much more powerful Scott's copy was. And then you're going to get the additional headlines that Scott gave the client to test. Now, I've seen a lot of copywriters submit work, and it's like they give them their best headline, and then really most of the additional headlines are kind of weak. But it just kind of blew my mind, and this is stuff I just recently found. Scott gave the client these additional headlines, like every single one was like, holy crap, because I've written in this niche. And Scott, every single headline that Scott submitted, like grabbed the reader by the eyeballs. It's insane. So that's amazing to see. And then you're going to get Scott's initial draft. So that's kind of awesome to see what he first came up with and how it eventually turned into this letter that sold millions. And then you're going to see his draft of the benefits, the bullets. Now, this is a whole course in itself. You're going to see his initial notes on the benefits and the bullets, and then you can compare that with the actual sales letter, and it's going to blow your mind unless you're like Paris Lampropoulos or the late, great, rest in peace, Clayton Makepeace, just how he crafted the bullets for this sales letter that pulled in millions of dollars for generators. And then the solar generators suck that you can see at the bottom. That is amazing. Again, as David Garfinkel says, the way that Scott presented these facts is just amazing. Okay? So that's for his $1 million solar generator ad. Let me show you. Oh, by the way, Andrew just came on, and he wanted to tell you this. I got all 3 volumes of Scott's greatest hits. The sales letters and ad breakdowns ignited so many ideas in my mind. Thanks for making it available to Jason. You got it, Andrew. I concur. That's the simplest way I can put it. I mean, it's just mind-blowing, especially the suck. That's what Gary Halbert and then his best student, Scott, would call their market research. You're basically sucking all the information you can. Obviously, there's different ways to, digest that information, but watch this. Let me go to. All right, so this is the colon cleanse letter. This is the one where a client went to Gary And Gary had sold millions for a colon cleanse letter, mailed 7+ years, 7 to 17 years. I've seen various things. I think maybe Gary's client kept on updating Gary, and then Gary would tell Scott. That's why there's a discrepancy. But minimum, this had been running for 7 years, hundreds of millions mailed, and just crushing it. But it'd been so successful, but it kept on mailing to the same list over and over again. And the client wanted Gary to beat his own control. And he said, do not farm this out. I know you do that, but I want you to write it. And Gary instantly just emailed Scott, says, hey, here's this letter. I need you to crush it. And Scott destroyed it. So it's amazing to see Gary's original control right here. And then Scott's control that beat Gary. They approach it two different ways, but they're both powerful. And as you can see on the screen, again, you're going to get Scott's bullets draft, his quotes. And again, the way he uses the quotes in an interesting way, in a powerful way, will blow your mind. You look at the quotes, look at the sales letter, see how he's doing it, and it's going to just give you amazing ideas. Then the total suck, his FAQ draft, which is amazing. Gary and Scott did amazing FAQs, but they were masters at weaving answering objections in their copy. So they did use FAQs, but they also were masters at answering objections elegantly throughout the copy without saying, hey, I know you have a question. It was just very elegant beneath the surface. And then you're going to get this free report copy response booster. That's an amazing idea for boosting response. Gary's original control, and then Scott's control that beat Gary. So if you have any questions, guys, now is the time. It ends at midnight. All right. Volume 1, 2, and 3 of Scott's greatest sales letters, the most profitable. Only $297 instead of $891. You're going to get the controls he's still using today. You're going to get the research for his most profitable ads. The ads that are still running today. And some bonus Gary Halbert letters, including a free report that Gary wrote that elegantly segues into a pitch. And when I gave this to Caleb O'Dowd, one of Scott's great friends and another Halbert protege, you may or may not have heard of him. I'm sure you probably have. He told me that this free report was the greatest sales letter he's ever read. So you got the solar generator ad that David Garfinkel, the world's greatest copywriting coach, says one of the best sales letters he's ever read. And then you got this free report that Caleb O'Dowd calls the greatest sales letter he's ever read. So you're going to get that for free as a bonus as well. So again, links in the description. Let me know if you have any questions. This is unbelievable. I'm blown away myself. So I'm going to be out of here, but leave a message in the comments or private message me. Go to the URL in the description, shortcutswipes.com/hottest swipes. And I'll see you in the members area. Talk soon.